This week, we look at 5 Jim Rohn quotes that you should know. I really hope that you had a great week last week, and I wish that this week will be even better. Welcome to episode 18. This week's episode has a bit of a new twist to it in the way that this episode is titled. The title of this episode is 5 Jim Rohn Quotes That You Should Know. And that Rohn is spelled R-O-H-N, as opposed to Jim Rohn, who is has a sports show. Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. I think that I am going to stay with this format for at least the rest of this month and maybe even longer. I'm running an experiment. I love lists. If you want to stop me cold in my tracks while I'm surfing on the internet, just have a title on your post that says 10 ways to do blank, or 7 ways to do this, or 8 ways to do that. I just absolutely love lists. So I'm going to incorporate my love of lists into the podcast and see how that goes. I settled on Jim Rohn for this week's episode because of a question from my wife. She asked me to give her a good quote on goals, or a good quote about goals. So I went to my trusty Evernote app and searched goals in my quotes folder in Evernote. And like I said, I've got hundreds of quotes in that folder. And Jim Rohn kept coming up. So that led to this episode being about Jim Rohn quotes. Jim Rohn was a businessman and motivational speaker. He is now deceased. I love this description of Jim Rohn on jimrohn.com. Widely recognized as a personal development legend, Jim Rohn possessed the unique ability to bring extraordinary insights to ordinary principles and events. And I agree with that description on jimrohn.com very much. At work, I used to listen all the time while I was working to Jim Rohn YouTube videos. And I used to love listening to those YouTube videos. They used to always give me inspiration to be better, to do better. And that's what this podcast is all about. Let's take a look at the 5 Jim Rohn quotes that you should know. Number 1, we can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. What I love about Jim Rohn is that he put an emphasis on you becoming better. I mentioned that last week, that all of nature grows to its fullest potential. That should be our goal as well, in my opinion. Number 2, learn to be happy with what you have while you pursue all that you want. Let me tell you, if you can pull this off, you will live a great life. This quote encourages you to walk that fine line between contentment and ambition. And those are really two things that kind of pull against one another. Being content, yet being ambitious. If you can learn to be happy with what you have while you pursue all that you want, I think you'll live a great life. And it also mixes in there this idea of being grateful. Gratitude, I think, is a key ingredient to living a happy life. So, number 2, learn to be happy with what you have while you pursue all that you want. This mentality encourages you to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground while reaching for the stars. I like that metaphor. Number 3 Jim Rohn quote that you should know. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. In no way is this quote saying that you shouldn't work hard on your job. But please, please, please work harder on yourself than you work on your job. You won't ever regret that, I don't think. In fact, working harder on yourself will probably help you advance on your job because you're always becoming better. I listened to a podcast episode between two guys, and one of the guys was saying that he used to listen to a motivational person who encouraged him or encouraged his listeners to read 1 hour in their profession every day. And he said that helped propel him to becoming an excellent real estate person because he read at least 1 hour in his field every day. Jim Rohn quote number 4 that you should know. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. Again, this quote puts the emphasis on YOU. I believe putting more emphasis on changing you as opposed to changing the world, I think this is a winning formula. Jim Rohn quote number 5 that you should know. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. Translation, have big goals. Setting goals is one of my weaknesses that quotes like this encourage me to fix. Set goals, write those goals down. There's one particular guy that I listen to a lot. He encourages you to set your goals and actually rewrite those goals every day so that those goals are always in front of you. Set goals. Setting goals can really help you to become more in your life. And as I like to say, that is what this podcast is all about, encouraging me to be better. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Like I mentioned earlier, I am going to stay with list for a while, stay with this particular format. I think the list will always be 5. I don't think I'll ever go higher than 5. I may go less than 5 sometimes. And as my dad always says, be good. And remember, quotes don't work unless you do.